Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Loan Officer Playbook Podcast, the podcast where we talk about real insights and strategies in loan origination. Today, we're joined with Fabion Medhanie. Fabion is the owner of Mortgage PTSD, powered by Edge Home Finance. Fabian, I'm super excited to have you on the podcast today. Welcome.
I am excited to be here, Michael, and thank you for having me.
Amazing. Fabian, how about we just dive right into it? What is Mortgage PTSD?
Mortgage PTSD. So, if you say mortgage PTSD, what do you think the PTSD stands for?
I would think post traumatic stress disorder.
Correct. That's what it is. Now, if you were a first-time homeowner, right, and you want to buy your house, you probably did some research and you probably overwhelmed already because there are a bunch of acronyms. There's people that told you some horror stories. And what can you get from there? Post-traumatic stress disorder, a mortgage PTSD. Now, if you're the seasoned investor, you can also be or you probably did a bunch of loans. Some were good and some they were really bad because you got to an originator that didn't know what they were doing. And what happens then? You get mortgage PTSD. Now, I strive to make this process a little bit better. And my PTSD does not really stands for the post-traumatic stress disorder. It actually stands for a pretty terrific service department.
I like that. I like the pretty terrific service department. Every time I talk to someone, they're like, getting a mortgage is like, getting your tooth pulled out. And most people don't like that.
Yeah, that's how it is. I mean, like, I bought six homes in my life, and all six loan officers that I worked with were not good. Now, you would say if one would been good, I probably would went back to him because then I would bought the other houses with him as well, right? And like I said, they were not good. It was always like pulling teeth. They were very annoying, and I didn't like the process. And that's why I actually decided to become a loan officer myself and make this process better for the client.
Amazing. You're actually one of the most like process-oriented people that I've ever talked to. Uh, and how did you come up with the PTSD? Do you have a military background?
I do, yes. So I've always been process oriented. Why? Because I'm actually a very lazy person, and but I live by the motto, lazy people work more efficiently. It doesn't mean being lazy is something negative. It's actually positive because I'm not trying to waste too much time, right? Then the military, of course, added their 2 cents and just drove and drilled into me a process. And if you have a great process, then you get usually great results.
Yeah. Thinking about process, I remember when we first chatted, you told me about you having this vision of how you want your process to look like. Do you
Mm.
mind reiterating that for our audience?
I do. I absolutely do. So, um, you know, when we spoke, there is a process when it comes to mortgages. Everybody has their own process. I have mine. Like I said, don't like to do double work. So I like to have a process where I have a very good conversation with the client, speak about their needs, speak about their worries, speak about their goals, finding out exactly what they want and what they're trying to accomplish. I record that, and I listen to that again. I get it transcribed, and then I break it down in tasks, and I make sure that all tasks are taken care of, tasks that I have to do, tasks that my processor does, but we're making sure that nothing's is getting missed. Now, I will tell you, I've been working on this process for a very long time, and probably I focused at some point more on the process than actually on originating loans. But I personally believe that there will be a time where scaling is going to be very important. And if you have a great process in place that allows you to scale, You can then serve more people with the same quality or better, and you can actually help more families achieving their dream.
Yeah. What do you say though to some people that think, well, you just can't processify everything because like you still have to, you know, you still have to give everyone like one-on-one service. Like you just can't automate everything. Like what do you say to someone like that?
Absolutely. And that's correct. Now, everybody has a certain level of process, and you cannot automate everything. Not yet. There is a way how you can get probably 90-95% of your work automated, but you should never step away from that human touch. That human touch is so important. So for me in my business is all the front um personal I'm sorry, the front facing side of my business where I talk to the client or I'm in contact with the client, that needs to be human in my opinion. Everything on the back end, if you can automate it, I automate it.
Yeah. The thing that I've seen is people confusing automation with AI, and those are two different things. I know you know what AI is because you've actually tried building your own AI system, and you are building your own AI system internally, and you are, one of the power users of AI. Like you were telling me yesterday about how you use like a transcription system that automatically creates SAS for you. Um, what do you think is, for instance, the role of AI in this whole automation process?
Hmm.
Like, where does
So
AI come? Like the front end or the back end?
to me, AI comes on the back end, but it actually comes in every process that is taking me away from my client. So if I can AI a step, a task, then I will do that because it allows me more time with being with my client, building relationships. So the owner of my company, which is a super smart guy, and he is amazing. I'm sure he got an amazing process because he's a very successful loan originator. He taught us one thing, or he says, he talks about always about this. He says that you should spend 10% in your loans, in originating them, in setting up the process, and 90% in building relationships. I really like that, by the way.
Yeah. Relationship building, every single person I talk to is like, hey, you got to build the relationships, you got to do the follow-ups. But also, I think that's one of the hardest pieces of, the mortgage business because a lot of people in the mortgage business, they have that sort of like, I have to close the next loan, I have to close the next loan. And then building the relationship, it may not like be like you're going to close a loan tomorrow with them, but it might be, 8 months down the line, like doing that. Like, how do you deal with, I would say, sort of like the chicken and egg problem, because in order to build relationships, you have to get leads. And in order to get leads, sometimes you have to get relationships and then build those relationships that can then refer you to other people. Like, how do you deal with that, like leads versus relationship building process?
Okay. So, how do you maintain a strong relationship with your clients? That's what I'm hearing you saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so you're going to get somewhere, you're going to start and you're going to get a lead, and then the lead in turns to a loan. Now, two words that comes to mind right away that honors the trust that these people placed in you, and that's the follow-up. Consistent communication beats sporadic excellence. Set calendar reminders for every client's touch point. There's anniversaries, there is loan anniversaries, there's birthdays, there's maybe birthday of their dog. You great when we talk, you always ask about Fat Albert, and I like talking about my dog. So that's the same thing you do with the clients. follow up even with the clients when you don't have nothing to sell, but you have to be in contact with them, and you got to stay top of mind because you want to deliver value. Okay. So if you don't have anything to sell, then share market insights, send relevant articles about home ownership and, I don't know, wealth building, provide financial tips beyond just mortgages. You are not a financial advisor in that sense that, hey, you should get this and that and invest in this. You don't do that, but I mean, we are financial advisors when it comes to mortgages. There's some understanding about numbers we have, and hey, why not give those to the client? And then, remember personal details. Like I said earlier, you know, people have motivations, certain reasons why they do what. If you remember that, why they are doing what they're doing, and you speak about them, that makes them feel very good. And then that's how you build credibility and trust. Now,
Yeah. S-
every person is a different type when it comes to communication. Some people that love phone calls, so those are important when you share your updates with a phone call. Other people there are, I don't know, general managers, people that are always in meetings, they never have time. They don't want you to call answer a phone call because they don't have the time. Send them a quick text message, an update, and they're happy with that. And then those are the ones that want to know it all, and then you just black out an email and you break it down, and you can use AI with that, again, and exactly detailed chronologically, let them know where they are in the process, and then make yourself known, be on social media, you know,
Have
that's
are
how
you
I see it.
are you on social media? Like, do you
I
have
am on social media.
yeah.
So if you want to see me, if you want to find me, then um definitely go with the term mortgage PTSD in combination with my name, Fabion Medhanie. I know it doesn't spell that easy, but it's Fabion. Last name Medhanie, Medhanie. Doesn't matter which platform you're looking for, I'm there. But to make it really, really easy, just look on my website, mortgageptsd.com. You find
Nice.
everything you need over there.
Yeah. I picked up on something you mentioned though, which is set reminders for all of their anniversaries. You were like, loan anniversaries. Um, you mentioned even their birthdays or people close to them, those sort of anniversaries. Have you created any system to help you set those reminders and then be accountable? Like, how do you keep yourself accountable? Do you have any systems, any tips that you use for that?
Well, I do. I have something, and I will say I'm guilty of not using it the way how I'm actually preaching it right now. That's why I'm looking for that AI system that actually can do that, because it gets overwhelming. Now, if you have to make a phone call when the dog has a birthday, then that's a problem, But if you just send a quick text message, my dog's name is Fat Albert, and if I get a text message and I'm currently in a loan, or maybe I've closed a loan 6 months ago, and he's like, hey, hi, Fabian. I just thought of, isn't that Fat Albert's birthday? And I mean, I love talking about my dog because I love him, and you get just a quick reminder from somebody that is actually not in your life, even though it might be AI or it might be a reminder, something you have written down. People don't care. They care that you actually thought of that, and the thought counts. And if you do that, I think you always stay top of mind. And if they ever think of a mortgage, or it does not even matter if you're a plumber and or an electrician or your bank. But banks are not like that. But if you would do and show that kind of customer service, oh my goodness, people will love you.
Yeah. AI is changing the game and how loans are originated. Like, a lot of people have not even scratched the surface. Like even the retention stuff about calling, the borrowers when it's their anniversary. That's just like scratching the surface of what AI can really do. But what do you think are some of the things that AI will be really be able to help loan officers with, like beyond retention?
Let me try to clarify that. Are you looking for an answer where you say like AI, where the mortgage industry gonna go to, where it's gonna be in 5 years? Is that what you're asking?
I do want to know what it's going to be in 5 years, but I want to
Okay.
know because if you are someone who uses AI, and
Yes.
AI is changing the game now in mortgages, and the retention is just one piece of it. But there's just so many layers of it. It's like peeling an onion. So I just if retention is like layer one, what is the next layer of it? Like where is it going to go next?
Hmm. I think AI will be everywhere. I think that like you said, it's transforming the industry. Um, Families, I believe they're gonna expect that level of AI service. Like once they got the taste of how it is, if somebody calls you for the smallest thing, if they see how efficient AI can be, if they see how smooth the process is, they're going to have an expectation that it's going to be like that across the board. Doesn't matter if you go to the grocery store, if you want to buy a car, if you want to do a mortgage, if you um want to get reports how your kids are doing in kindergarten or in school. They want to know everything if they're engaged with whatever they're doing, right? But I believe that AI is going to be everywhere and it's going to make our life easier. Now, there's a lot of people that probably are uncomfortable with this. But, if you are someone that has a little bit of a negative stance towards it, I think in the future you're going to have a very hard time. You should embrace it and see how far it will take you. And if you get at any given time uncomfortable with it, then I'm sorry to say, but I think you're going to be left behind.
Yeah. I want to pick up on one word, comfortable with it. It's
Yes.
not even seeing the value, it's people just being comfortable with it. Um,
Yes.
and that's like that's Fat Albert.
Yeah, it's Fat Albert. Yep. Barking up a storm again.
uh, so speaking of being comfortable, this morning I was calling a cleaning service, and
Yes.
it was an AI that was doing the
Yes.
scheduling, but the AI was very
Yep.
buggy. So AI was like asking me questions, but then I was so happy. There was a time when it stopped responding, and I'm like,
Right.
why has it stopped responding? But then I was just waiting for it on the phone for like over a minute to just
Yeah.
sit. I was just cheering the AI on. I'm like, I can't wait for it to respond back. But if it was a human, I would have just been like, I would have been very pissed. But if it was
Right.
AI, like I'm like at that level, I'm 100% comfortable with AI. Like, give me AI, don't give me the human. But I know most loan officers or borrowers may not be. I don't know for borrowers,
Right.
but in your experience, do you think borrowers would be comfortable with AI? Like you've closed a lot of loans.
Yes. I think at this point, especially older people, they're probably not. And if an AI is buggy and all of a sudden you just asked for like, hey, send me a text message, hey, Fabian, how are the rates looking, right? And then the AI is trying to start selling you a condo in Palm Beach, then people are going to get annoyed very, very quickly. So you want to make sure you know what you're doing. I think at this stage, you should be still very well aware of what's going on, and you should make most of your conversations yourself. Um, and you have to look at the avatar. With the avatar, I mean, who you talking to? Who's your client? Is your client somebody that you know since a long time, and they know what you're doing? That's one thing. But if you talk to a first-time homeowner that found you on the internet, and I don't know if the AI conversation would be very beneficial. Probably not, and especially if it's buggy, then you probably lost that client, and he's gonna go to, I don't know, I don't want to say no names, but he's probably gonna go to some retail lender, and trying to get a mortgage there. Go broker.
I see the shade that you're doing on retail right now.
I
Uh,
would never.
so
I,
you could have done retail. Why are you in wholesale?
oh, I've done retail.
Yeah.
I've done consumer direct. I was a human machine answering phone calls for 8 hours a day while a dialer dialed out. That was the most annoying thing, and I never ever want to do that again. And I don't wish anybody gets to a loan originator like that because it's just terrible. Um, I did retail. Retail was not my world. There might be retail loan officers that like what they do, but I got very quickly tired of asking my boss if I can give a concession or not, and then the boss doesn't get back, and then they say no, and there's this long retention. I always try to make the joke, as a retail loan officer, you're gonna have a production manager, and then the production manager is going to have another manager above him, and that manager is probably going to be managed by a branch manager, and that branch manager is going to be managed by a VP, which is a district or regional manager, and the district regional manager is going to be managed by a um, VP of the southern part of the United States, and then you're gonna have a senior VP, and then there's gonna be CEO, and everybody got to eat. So if everybody's making money, and these guys in these VP positions making crazy money, how is the consumer, the client, gonna win? How are they gonna get a great deal? They're not. And being in retail, that's what I experienced. And I ran and I asked them to change. And but at that time probably didn't understand the process. It's like they cannot change it. And all their money is in the rates. And that's why you as a client is most likely not going to get a great deal. As a broker, you have much more flexibility, and you can work and you can give clients the best deal for their situation. You have just more maneuverability, and you can control the process better. And that's what I really like.
Yeah. I I like that you mentioned the hierarchy that retail has, but let me
Yes.
still man the case for retail because I work mostly with wholesale and retail as well.
Yeah.
And with most people are fall into either one camp, and each one of them they have their own like pros and cons. But for retail, what if someone says, well, retail you have everything centralized, right? If for instance, let's say we'll pick a random brokerage. I don't want to name any names. Uh, one that starts with a B and it's a very large one. And then you say, well, they have all these different brokers and they're doing a lot of production, but they all run their own different system. It's like McDonald's, you have like McDonald's branch here, McDonald's branch there, and then corporate tries to say something, but then each branch does their own because they understand their clients very differently. And then now you have retail, and it's like one corporate McDonald's everywhere. Like word comes from top down, boom, everyone does it. Like, do you think that there is a world where retail thrives over wholesale in terms of consistency of borrower experience?
Well, if the processes are in place and you can't maneuver left or right, yes, absolutely. It's always going to be the same exact thing. Like I said, I worked in retail. or I worked in consumer direct, which is even stricter than retail, you there was no maneuverability. There was just it was one way to do it, and that's it. Now, let me answer this. I forgot that one VP that we got, that was the VP of um um what did I say? I don't know. I usually say like VP of toilet servicing, you know. They made up VPs for all kinds of things. And I was just thinking, you are losing loan originators, but you're hiring more VP, being more and more corporate. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to make a joke out of it, right? But
I
it's
know.
not my world. That's not something I wanted to do.
I know.
Is that for somebody that is completely, I mean, like they get taught one process and they know the process inside out, and that's what they want to do, and they like that? Hey, please do it, right? But once I experience the option of me living the life the way how I want to live it, and I get to serve the people the way how I want to serve it, you know, that was great.
Yeah.
That's what I want. If I can be in Italy on the beach and have a phone conversation with a client that wants to buy their first house, great. If I was working in retail or consumer direct, I would probably had a headphone on like you, and I would be in the dialer jail. That's how I called it, you know, and I'd be talking to people like a machine, like a robot. And at that point, AI probably at some point, and probably right now, could do that better than I could do it.
Yeah.
So that's where I see this.
Yeah. The thing about all these VPs in the corporate world, have you seen the movie American Psycho?
I think I did. I'm not
Yeah.
a big movie buff, but I think I did, yes.
It's the one where so there's this one scene where so they work in I think like private equity but some sort of like financing and um they have like five, six, seven VPs but all of them sort of have the same role. So it would be like VP of
Right,
corporate accounts, but this would be
right,
VP of New York corporate account or like XYZ, and they all like pull up their cards and like there's just so
right,
many VPs. Uh,
right.
and Mark Zuckerberg mentioned one time that hey, they're gonna just get rid of middle management. It's like if you're not an individual contributor, just contributing
Right.
to the process, and VPs can just be so far away from
They are.
from the process that they don't really understand what's going on because they're not like in the weeds. Like for you, you're a VP of your your business. You're also the loan officer of your business. You're also the CEO of your business, so you understand um, everything that your business needs. So that's like one of the things that I think retail lacks is just the closeness to the customer as much as possible. Yeah.
Let me add this to it, Michael. VPs of a business like this were also at one point probably a loan officer, and they probably were a hell of a loan officer, and they probably did a fantastic job and served a lot of people, you know, because in the end of the day, what is the goal? Serving people, getting a financial success or in general success. It should let them achieve their goals. All right. Now, when you purchase a home, usually that's the largest purchase you're going to do in your lifetime. Okay. Now, all these people probably were a loan officer at some point in their life, but they probably are removed from the real process, from the trenches, from fighting daily years, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And processes have changed. Maybe they're super smart people and they read up on it. But I cannot see some VP being on the phone, listening to every phone conversation that an LO has, and then to coach him into getting better, showing him new ways. Where does that happen? Tell me any mortgage company where you have somebody that is dedicated and all they do is listen to phone calls over and over and over and then really sit down the loan officer goes and creates a curriculum or creates improvements that the loan officer is able to serve that person more. It is not happening. They just
Yep.
throw you in there. They're trying to explain you the process, and you can't really make mistakes, especially with the one company that I worked at. Don't get me wrong, their system, their software is so sophisticated and it's really good. But you are not a loan officer at that point anymore. I felt like a system administrator, and that's how I got paid because the
Yep.
system, the software was the star. I want to be the star. I want to make the client happy, and I that's why I do what I do because when clients are happy and they got their keys in their hand and they say thank you, that's my reward. Of course, I'm gonna get $3 or $4 so I can eat a burger, but hey, I'm happy when the clients achieve their goal.
Now, speaking of $3, $4 so you can eat a burger, you were mentioning yesterday about some trends that you've seen in the industry. Like everyone's trying to see, well, what's the next trend? Like how can I not like maximize my comp, but how can I find the next blue ocean in lending? And I think you have some ideas. Like you mentioned like was it something about arms are coming back? That
Yeah,
you've seen
yeah,
that?
absolutely. So you have to see for yourself a little bit. Um, do your own research, sit there, read up, see what the news is saying, see what's going on in the mortgage world. And I right now think since these rates are not coming down, and we've been saying since a year or so, oh, these rates gonna come down. You can buy now and then refinance later. Yeah, the rates didn't come down. Sorry, you cannot refinance, and clients get upset. See what other options there is. Maybe the temporary rate buy down, you get when somebody buys a house and they get a temporary rate buy down that get makes it easier for the client get into the house with the payments, ease up into the payments for, I don't know, 3, 2, or maybe 1 year with a reduced rate. There is also an option of an arm, which arms are in general a little bit lower. Refinance your arm at some point because there's not this one size fits all solution. You have to see where the client is. And based on that's why I like wholesale again better without making making this a wholesale conversation. It's we have the ability of working with so many different products, with so many different lenders, and maybe there's something for the client that really fits him with this lender, and you can match that up. It's easier. When I was working in retail, there was 5 products. I could work with those 5 products, and if the client didn't fit in that box, I'm sorry, sir, ma'am, I cannot help you.
Ditch them out. Yep. And that just makes you feel like, well, like you're not being helpful because you
Right.
cannot possibly only have 5 products for different people. Like you do so many different kinds of loans. At 5 cannot fit everybody.
Correct. I mean, like,
Yep.
and maybe the number was 8, right? But if I look at my 150 plus banks or mortgage companies that I can work with, and everybody has a little different guidelines and has a little bit more nuance to it, you know. I work a lot with foreign nationals, they are not fallen, and everybody has a different situation when they come over, there's certain process, they're always the same, but there's some that are very different. There's mortgage companies that give me a better deal for this client than it would fit with another company. Do I have 30 days or do I have 45 days or do I have only 20 days? There's just more options. More options is better.
Yeah.
Because in the end of the day, it's always about the client. It's never about yourself.
About those foreign national loans, though, how long have you been doing them?
Oh, since I actually came into the wholesale world, before in retail, you can't, or let's say I could, but I had to broker it out to somebody else. And then the deal got really shitty because everybody wants to make money. Don't forget the VP of toilet services. He needs to make money too, right? Um, so there's no money left over for me. And the client also is not going to get a great deal because usually retail loan companies are not aligned perfectly with other products that are brokered out.
Right.
Now, I like doing foreign nationals, especially because I can serve my client in that language, you know. That's why I focus, not focus, but I offer that. And I think in the area where I'm from, I was born and raised in Germany. I speak fluent German. I understand a little bit Italian. But in Austria, Germany, and Switzerland, I'm fairly known. And there's a lot of people that like to leave Europe and come to the US and they try to inquire. And these are not loans that are ready to go. I had clients I've been working with for years. But the beauty is when they actually want to do something, they come back to me because I already did all the legwork.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I know loan officers that run away from foreign national loans. They
Mm.
don't like it at all because it's like
Yeah.
complex. You have to deal with like immigration issues. But you've found as that's one of the type of niches that you like doing, which is very interesting. Um, Tell me about like your time in Germany. You mentioned you speak fluent German. Like how long did you? I've never heard you speak German, by the way. And I don't. Uh,
Nicht so schwierig. Wir können gerne Deutsch reden.
you sound so German. I was taking like a German
Very.
course, like in 5 minutes a day on the bus. They say it's
Okay.
similar to English. Like,
Mm.
I have no idea.
There's some words that are very similar or are similar or actually are German that they were adapted into English. Well, I was born and raised in Germany and lived there for a total of 32 years. Spent my entire childhood there. I opened up businesses. I used to own nightclubs, bars, restaurants, lounges, and my mom never liked it what I was doing. She always had a dream for me to join the military, the U.S. military, because she worked for them, and she also knew my origin, my heritage, where I'm from is Eritrea, East Africa. My dad is American. She always knew that I'm probably not going to go to Africa and probably one day end up in the US. So she said, like, hey, a good way for you to join the military would be to get a foot into the door would join the military. So I through my dad being American, got my green card and then joined the military. My mom was sick one day. She said, like, she was barely talking. She said, like, I never gave up the dream for you to join the military. At that time, I owned a nightclub and some bars and had a bunch of employees. And she said, like, yeah, I never dreamt up for you to join the military. And I said, okay. At that time, I was 30 years old. I sold everything I had in Germany and packed up shop, went to the US, joined the military, and started from scratch from having 65 people working for you to getting yelled at by a 23-year-old drill sergeant that just came back from a deployment and going to basic training with all these kids 20 years old, 18 years old, 23 years old. I'm being 31 on my birthday when I started basic training. It was pretty challenging, but let me tell you, it was the best thing I've ever did in my life. I absolutely enjoyed it. I had a great career, got out as a captain, infantry officer, learned so many things, and the things that I've learned along the way, I apply now to my mortgage business, and it really helps me.
Hmm. It sounds like your mom was pretty influential in your life. Is she still with us?
No, she's not. She actually, hmm, there's a little bit of a story, but I'm gonna make it short. I joined the military when I was 30. My mom told me to join the military the first time when I was 17. I shook my head. It's like, nope, I'm staying in Germany. I want to play soccer. I was a pretty good soccer player. and played professionally also for a year. And then I said, well, had my career with the hospitality, and she never liked that lifestyle. Then she got sick. She had multiple sclerosis and got so sick and bedridden. And at one point, I'm like 30 years old. She's like, "Hey, I never dreamed of you giving, and I mean, I never stopped dreaming of you joining the military." Well, she essentially said, join the military is my last wish. I said, like, okay. So I sold everything I had in Germany, came over and joined the military. That's what I did.
Thanks to her because you just mentioned it's one of the best things you've ever done. Yeah,
100%. Very
amazing.
good. I mean, it's such a you learn so many things there. They are positive. Don't get me wrong. I had some really shitty situations in my life. I deployed and saw a lot of things that are not great. But in the end of the day, I can only see the positives. I really, really enjoyed what I was doing. I learned a lot. I made so many amazing friends that I'm still friends with now these days. And there's a lot of processes, a lot of discipline and integrity that you take with you, and you apply it to what I'm doing now. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love what I'm doing now. I love that I can work of a place of my choosing, not in suit and tie, or sitting there with a headphone, with headphones and a microphone, and I can do it the way how I want it, and um, I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Um, every time we talk,
Yes, sir.
I like see your because you have a vision of what you want your life to be, and then you just
Yes.
go make that vision. I play a lot of video games, and there's this thing
Yeah.
called NPCs. It stands for non-player characters. So it's like
Yes.
people that are just standing on the side, just like following. They're programmed. You're not programmed. Like you make your own vision, and you try to achieve that vision. I just wanted to tell you that that's a feeling that I get whenever I talk to you.
You are absolutely correct. I'm 50 years old. The first 50 years of my life, I worked for everybody and anyone and pleased this person and that person and all the relationships I had in my life and my kids. And the next, I don't know how much I got left, 30 years, 40 years maybe. I'm gonna focus more on me, make myself happy, create a process that absolutely works for me, and then I can deliver because I truly believe that if you are happy, then you can make everybody else happy. So that's what I do.
Amazing. Fabian, it was awesome having you on the pod today. So, for listeners, um, you mentioned where they can find you on social media, but if people want to reach out to you directly, where do you recommend they reach out to you?
All right. So I will give you guys my phone number. That's absolutely a way to get in contact with me. That would be 702. Yes, that's Las Vegas. 766 7762. 702 766 7762. And you can text there as well. On the other end, it would be my website, mortgageptsd.com. That's the easiest way to get in contact with, or you can choose the social media, or an email address would be Fabion, Fabion, at edgehomefinance.com. Edgehomefinance, all one word.com.
Amazing. Listeners, this has been another episode of the Loan Officer Playbook Podcast. I love the mortgage industry because you get to talk to such unique people with unique backgrounds. Everyone I talked to in mortgage just stumbled upon it, or they started when they were 19. They were doing like different things. Like I was talking to someone yesterday who was um, in the military, and then they were doing their master's and PhD, and they're traveling around the country, but they're still originating loans. And then here is Fabian from Germany to the US and being in the military, and from owning nightclubs and having employees, and then just originating loans now for himself, which is just the caliber of people that you talk to, just so interesting. So if this is you, the mortgage industry might be a place that you want to land in. Thank you, Fabian, for coming on. and I'll see you next
Thank you
week.
for having me. Thanks, Michael. Thanks a
All right.
lot.
Bye bye.